Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome again. I'm your tutor Arsalan Shabir, and we are here to discuss about the next agenda of the day that is very hot topic. It's a really hot topic for the exam point of view, for from the examiner point of view, but it's a very vast and crucial area for the students because in this area students try to get maximum marks but they are failed because of the technical knowledge, because of the uh, structure of the substantive procedure, how to write the substantive audit procedure in the answer. But again, you should be motivated, you should be attentive, and today we will try to grip this topic. So, last day, what we have discussed about the internal controls. It is very important to tell you about the background about the yesterday's session because their link is with the today's topic. So I am just giving you a highlights what we have discussed last day. Last day, we have discussed about the internal controls, the whole story of the internal controls, the whole elements, the complete elements of the internal controls. Like we have discussed and learned what is the control objective of the management, are the control activities which are helps the management in placing the internal controls. Then we have discussed about the deficiencies in internal control systems. Why are the deficiencies exist in the management system and how the auditor cover this deficiency in the audit area. We also discussed last day three examples related to the controls, related to the internal controls. If I am going to remember you, and I also want you to remember one example, we discussed about the security guard who was sitting at the gate of the organization. The objective of this security guard is to ensure that the objective of the management is to ensure that no one can be enter, or you can say no unauthorized person can enter into the organization premises. That's the objective of the control. So for the control purpose, the control is a security guard. Now, how you will test the control, whether this control is implemented or and operating effectively. So how the auditor evaluate this, whether the control is operating effectively or not? Auditor will observe whether the security guard is seeing and investigate each and every person or not. So this is the test of control you are doing at that time. It really helps you in identifying the controls, whether they are strong or weak. So what was the next second example we had discussed last day about the purchases. Management should have the objective in purchases that every purchase should be on competitive price and genuine. That's the control objective. Management placing the control that purchase should be booked by the purchasing should be done by individual person, that purchase should be booked by the another individual, and the payment to the vendor will done by the another person. So this is the control, and the control is basically the segregation of duties, is the segregation of duties. This is the control placed by the management. So how you will evaluate that the control is operating effectively or not? So you will do the test of control, you will inspect the some invoices and ensure that the booking is done by the another person, and the payment was done by the another person. So you will inspect the documents, you will observe the controls. So there are many methods to observe the control. So one thing which we need to remember, that is what is internal control system. Internal control system is only applying internal control system is only implying on the organization's processes and procedures, on the organization systems and processes. Internal controls does not relate to the financial statements. Internal control does not relate to the financial statements. So please write down this sentence. Write down my these two sentences on your paper, that internal controls is applied on the organization's processes, on the organization's systems. Internal control does not relate to the financial statements. So if the company's internal system is not working effectively by using test of controls, so there is a possibility that the errors or the misstatements can be done. So there is a possible chances, there is a maximum chances that the errors and misstatements can be occur. So what I would like to say, where the internal controls are weak, their control risk is high. And if the control risk is high, your audit risk is also high, because audit risk is equal to inherent risk into control risk into detection risk. If your control risk is high, then audit risk is also high for the auditor. So when your internal controls are weak, then the errors and misstatements can transfer into the financial statements. So here you need to remember one thing. When the internal controls are weak, then the chances of errors, then the chances of misstatements are high. So these errors, if will not be detected by the control procedures, then it will transfer to the financial statements. Then it will transfer to financial statements. So we are going to discuss this thing in a later stage as well. Here, I would like to give you a focus on one thing, whether the controls are strong or weak. You will apply substantive procedures on both cases, in both cases. You will apply substantive procedures in both cases, because if the control are strong, you will reduce your substantive procedures. But if your controls are weak, you will enhance your substantive procedures. But in both cases, substantive procedures will be applied to verify the reliability of the financial statement. So whether your control risk is high or low, you should apply substantive procedures, but the scope of the substantive procedures can be reduced if the control risk is low. But where the control risk is high, your substantive procedure scope will be high as well. You will test more substantive procedures. So now, what is substantive procedures? What is substantive procedures? There are two types of substantive procedures. One is test of detail, another is analytical review procedures. Another is analytical review procedures. So, listeners, at here, do you hear my voice? Do you hear my voice? I need your feedback. Thank you, Syed. Thank you, Midhat, Hamza, Kainat, Ashia, Krishthan Khan, Saud Khan, Karen. Thank you. Cool, cool. So there are two types of substantive procedures: test of detail and analytical review procedures. So what are these? Here we are going to discuss in the next slide. I know today's topic is very, very important. You don't need to worry. We are going to read each and everything. We are going to discuss each and everything about this topic. Before we know about the supplementary procedures, important points needs to remember. Important points needs to remember. One is test of controls do not apply on financial statements. I am saying this again and again because students confuse between the internal controls and the supplementary procedures. So here I will not I will not give you a chance again. I will try my best so that you can understand the difference between these two. Test of controls do not apply on financial statements. Only supplementary procedures will apply on the financial statements. Due to weak internal controls, error fraud chances can be increases, will ultimately impact on the financial statements. The element which I was saying in the last slide. Okay, so there is a chances that the financial statements can be misstated. This is the complete sequence which I'm going to tell you. If the control risk is high, then why the financial statements can be materially misstated, because the errors and the fraud can be transferred to the financial statements. So our objective is to ensure exertions exist in the financial statements. Our objective is to ensure assertions exist in financial statements. Here we need to discuss three things. There are two types of substantive procedures. One is test of detail, second is analytical review procedures, and third is what are the assertions. What are the assertions? So now, what are the assertions? We will see first what are the assertions. Completeness. First assertion is completeness, and this is our objective also. This is our objective also. Sorry. G. Assertions is equal to our objectives. Our objective is to ensure the completeness. Our first objective, or you can say our first assertion, is the completeness. Completeness says, now we are going to tell you that generic definition of the assertion. Completeness says every transaction is completed from the entry stage to financial statements. Every transaction is completed from the entry stage to financial statement. What is entry stage? Now I will give you an example. If you are going to purchase something, so what would be your first entry? Write down in your question box. If you are going to purchase something, what would be your generic what would be your generic entry which you will done in the system? What would be debit and what would be credit? What would be your generic entry? Yes, everyone, please write down your response. Yes, Ashik, you are right. Yes, debit purchases to payables. Yeah, that's the right option. This is your first entry. So I'm talking about the entry stage. So when you will do a first entry, this entry should be shown. This entry should be shown into the party ledger. What will be the party ledger? I will tell you. in a later stage in the next slide. This entry should be shown in the journal ledger. This entry should be shown in the trial balance. This entry should exist in the financial statement as well. So completeness says every transaction is completed from the entry stage to financial statements. So if we are going to do some transaction, it will appear in every stage of the financial statement. What are the stages of the financial statements? That first is your entry, number second is your party wise ledger, number third is general ledger, number four is trial balance, and number fifth is financial statements. So these are all the stages. Sorry. So I think so these are all the stages of the financial statement. So every transaction is completed from the entry stage to financial statements. So everyone got it? Completeness. So completeness is our objective. If everything is completed, if every transaction is completed in all perspective, then you can say that your financial statements are accurate. Your financial statements shows true and fair view. So this is the first element should exist in the financial statements, that is the completeness of every transaction. Second, rights and obligations. Second is rights and obligation. What it means? Rights means company has right to own something. Company has a right to own something, or obligation mean company has a right to pay someone. Okay, if the company shows in the fixed asset register that they have 10 cars, they have 10 cars in the name of the company, they can use these cars. This is the asset of the company. So how you can ensure it that this is the asset of the company? Anyone tell me how you can ensure that this is the asset of the company? If I will say that this is my car, how you can verify that this is my car? Please mention in the question box. Ashik, your answer is wrong. Go and verify. It is not the right option because if I have a car parking at my parking lodge and I will ask you that this is my car, you will physically verify it. Can you believe it? That's my car? No, this is not the right option. Suppose your friend have a car and your friend says that this is my car. So you just go and simply verify him and that physically verify that this is your car. Its physical existence can verify someone's ownership. So what we will do, we will check from the deed, we will check from the registration documents, and in registration documents the name of the ownership, the name of the owner shows on it. So from that you can verify the rights and obligations of anything. So this is the second assertion, and this is our objective as well, that that anything in the financial statements, anything appear in the financial statements should have the rights and obligations of that company. The company, the management should have its rights and obligations. There should not be anything which is appearing in the financial statements, but management does not have the rights and obligations. So if everything appear in the financial statement has the rights and obligations of the company, then it means that the financial statements are true. There is no material misstatement in the financial statements. Okay, boys. Okay, girls, got the point. Now we are going to our third assertion, that is accuracy, valuation, and allocation. What is accuracy? Very simple. The level of accuracy of the valuation in assets. Suppose I have a plant and I have a land and building. Management have a land and building. Their fixed assets register, their non-current assets shows that the company has a 10 million property, 10 million worth property. And recently they valued their buildings. They have done the valuation of their land and building, and the report of the valuation shows that the land and building has a surplus valuation, and now the value of the property increases from 10 million to 15 million. The valuation of the property is increased from 10 million to 15 million. So 5 million is the increase, 5 million is the increase in the valuation. How much this valuation is accurate? How much this valuation is authentic? How much this valuation shows the industry averages? So accuracy is what's the level of accuracy of the valuation in assets. So if I will put an example in front of you, that your company where you are working in the organization, their land and building value has been increased from 10 million to 15 million. 5 million is in the increase. So how you can verify the accuracy? Now the ball is in your court. Give me your answers. Your answers open your mind. Your answers enhance your exposure. So give me your answers. If you will be wrong in my webinar, it will be beneficial so that I can correct you at this time. My question is, my question is, your company has a land and building worth rupees 10 million. So they made the valuation of their land and building from the valuation expert, and the report of the valuation expert says that your land and building value worth has been increased from 10 million to 15 million. There is a 5 million surplus in your worth, in the worth of the land and building. So how you can evaluate the valuation surplus, whether they are accurate or not? Yes, there are many procedures. Discuss with the management what was the basis for the increase. You can recalculate the surplus, but there is another authentic procedure, that is, you will, auditor will survey the market and evaluate what are the trend of the land and building, what are the trend in the increase in the valuation of the land and building, because it's the right procedure. If the valuation experts said that the increase in land and building was 5 million surplus. So you will survey from the market whether this is the average increase or this is the extraordinary increase in the land and building of the company. So you will verify it from the market and take the rates from the market to ensure that the increase in the valuation of the land and management is reasonable or not reasonable. Now, fourth is existence. Existence means the asset is physically present or not. The transaction is exist or not. So I have already given you the example. If the management shows that they have 15 cars, so how you can check their existence, whether they are available or not. In rights and obligations, we will check whether the management has a control over the asset or not. Here, we are going to check the existence of the asset. So you can check these assets by physically. You can go where the assets are placed and physically verify them. That shows the existence of the relevant subject. So this is our objective of the financial statements. So it means that if anything shows by the management in the financial statements, these items should be with the management. Now, the fifth is occurrence. Occurrence means transaction is done or not. If the management is showing the sales in their profit and loss, if the management is showing the sales in the profit and loss, so how you can ensure whether the transaction is done or not? Do you have any idea about it? I'm talking about the occurrence that the transaction is held or not, the transaction was done or not. So, how you can check the occurrence? If I am showing in the profit and loss that our sales is 10 million, or you can say we have a sales of 5 million, how you can check whether the transaction is occur or not? Yes, Stephanie, you are right. Or please give me your feedbacks, give me your answers. Audit trail is not the right option. Inspect vouchers, receipts, and bills. Reviewing relevant documents mean you need to specify, Khushi, what are the relevant documents. So we will discuss these relevant documents in the later stage in the next slides. Check with documents, which documents? So we need to clarify, we need to remove this confusion, which documents? We need to be specific in the question. We need to be very confident in the question. Well, everyone is saying from the relevant document. Now we will clear this issue today. So how you can check the occurrence? If the management is showing that the sales is done, that the sales is 10 million, so you can check it from the good dispatch note whether the items has been dispatched to the customer or not. You can check from the outward gate pass whether the items can be go outside the organization, should was go outside the organization. So good dispatch note is the relevant document where you can ensure that the sales which are showing in the profit and loss, in the reply of these sales invoices, there is a dispatch note you can check from the management record. So good dispatch note is the relevant document which will give you the confidence that the transaction is done. So goods has been dispatched against the any sales which are showing in the profit and loss, which are showing in the profit and loss. So there are many documents. I'm just preparing your mind. I'm just making the base so that you can feel relaxed when we will go into the practice question. Now, six is classification. Classification is that the any item should be classified according to its nature. I am repeating this sentence that every item which is appearing in the financial statements, in the profit and loss, or in balance sheet, everything is classified according to its nature. I'm giving you one more simple example. If the management shows that we have, if the management shows that we have 1 million, we have assets, non-current assets of worth rupees 1 million. We have a non-current assets worth rupees 1 million. So you will verify, you will take the list of the non-current assets and ensure that whether is there any asset, is there any current asset who is becoming the part of the non-current assets mistakenly or intentionally made by the management. I'm repeating this again. If the management shows that we have assets, we have a non-current assets of 1 million rupees, and you will take the list of that non-current assets and verify whether take a minute, take a minute. Sorry, I got an emergency call, that's why. Sorry. Gee. So I'm telling you about the classification. The screen is not held. I'm working on this screen. It is not changing because this is a very important slide. Some candidates saying that the screen is held and stuck, but the screen is not stuck. I am giving to you the lecture on the same slide. So because it is a very important slide, we need to understand the assertions, what the assertion says. So we are talking about the classification. Classification means if the management shows that or says that we have a non-current assets worth rupees 1 million. So what the auditor will do, auditor will take the list of the non-current assets and identify and verify each non-current assets and ensure that is there any current asset shows in the non-current assets list, because if any current asset shows in the non-current assets list, it means that the classification of this asset is wrong. So do you understand what it means? Classification means every item should be classified according to its nature. According to its nature. So 7 is cutoff. Cutoff says the matching concept. Cutoff says that if the company financial year, if the company fiscal year is starts from the 1st July to 30th June, from the 1st July 19 to 30th June 20, if the company made the sales on if the company made the sales on 5th July 2020 after the year end, after the fiscal year, so the company should not made the sales and should not include this sale which was done after the fiscal year, this sale should not be included in the fiscal year, that is 1920. I am saying this again, that the company's financial year is 1st July 19 to 30th June 20. 30th June 20. So if the management made a sales after the 30th June, this sale should not be the part of the fiscal year, that is July 19 to 30th June. Because matching concept says every expenditure and sales should be recorded in the same month in which they have occurred. So that's the cutoff point. So these are all the 7 assertions which are objectives, and we will need to ensure that these all elements should exist in the financial statements. How the auditor will ensure, how the auditor will take the assurance that these elements exist in the financial statements. So auditor use substantive procedures. Okay. So we are going to the next slide, that is the what are the procedures we will use to make the to verify the assertions, to verify our objective. These audit procedures are used to verify the assertions. I am telling you again, these audit procedures are used to verify the assertions, and assertions is equal to our objectives. So what are the procedures? Our first procedure is inspection. Inspection can be of the documents, can be of files. Inspection can be of anything. Observation, auditor will observe the things. Recalculation, inquiry from the management, confirmations from suppliers, vendors, from management, reperformance. So these are the two types of substantive procedures which we had discussed in the uh, last second last in this slide. Yes, we had discussed that there are two types of substantive procedures, that are analytical review procedures and test of detail. Now here we are going to discuss these two things. Yes, test of details are these, and analytical review procedures are ratios, trend analysis. Listeners, slides are changing. Slides are moving or not? No. Okay. G. So what I will do? Yes, I have unmuted myself to solve the issue. Now the issue has been resolved. So, if I were, I will be lucky if if we will not face any issue today. Uh, Now, uh, we were discussing about the test of details and analytical review procedures. I told you in this slide that there are two types of substantive procedures. One is test of detail, one is analytical review procedures. So here we are going to discuss these two things after the assertions. We will use these procedures to verify the assertions. We will use these procedures to verify the assertions. These are test of detail. These are test of आवाज आ रही है boys listeners, do you hear my voice? Okay, yes, it is still active. Voice is active. I think the issue is resolved. Yes, active. Voice is active. Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, don't worry. I repeat it again. So these are the test of details. These are the test of details which we will use to verify the assertions. To verify the assertions. And these are the analytical review procedures. These are the analytical review procedures. So these are two types of assertions. There are two types of assertion. There are two types of substantive procedures. Sorry, there are two types of substantive procedures. Number one is test of detail. Number second is analytical review procedures. So you need to remember these audit procedures are used to verify the assertions. Okay. Inspection, observation, recalculation, inquiry, confirmation, reperformance, and ratios, trend, comparison, and reasonableness test. These both things apply at the financial statement level, not at the company's internal system, internal processes. Here, I am again endorsing you that these things should be applied on the financial statements, not at internal controls. So, substantive procedures totally related to the financial statements. So, test of details and analytical review procedures. Audit procedures, ratios, transpose, ratio analysis. Do you know about the gearing ratio? Gearing ratio tells us about the company, how the company is riskier. Gearing ratio tells us about that how much the company has taken the debt. So if the last year gearing ratio is low and this year gearing ratio is high, it means that the gearing ratio is high. What it means that the company has taken the more loan, that the company is at financial risk. So, or analytical review procedures will tell you about where the problem can exist in the financial statements. They can, analytical review procedures can indirectly tell you where the problem can exist. So another example, if you will calculate the current ratio tells us about the how much the company has the ability to pay its liabilities. If the last year has more ability to pay its liabilities and the current year does not have its more liability, if I compare with the last year, then it means that the company is at risk. So it means that the company assets has been decreased, or maybe there is a chance that the payables has been increased. So analytical review procedures helps you in identifying you where the problem can exist. So whenever, so in paper, you will give the priority to the test of details, not analytical review procedures. But don't worry, we can discuss these uh, technical elements in the next slide. So, where you will be given the focus or not, we will discuss it in the next slide. Uh, yes. So, you just need to remember at this time what are the test of details, what are the analytical review procedures. There are two procedures other than test of detail and analytical review procedures. These are the tricks. Highlight this. These are the tricks which you can use in the exam when you are not remembering the substantive procedures, when you are not remembering the substantive procedures in the exam. So these are the two procedures which you need to remember and you can put in the answer. So first is discussion with the management regarding some issue. This is another procedure we will apply in our practice questions after this lecture is over. Discussion with the management regarding some issue and review minutes of the meeting regarding anything. So I will give you an example. I will give you an example in the next slide. What are the financial statements, or you can say substantive procedures focus on income statement, balance sheet, estimates, disclosures. Substantive procedures focus on income statement, balance sheet, estimates, and disclosures. These are all the crux which I have mentioned in this slide. You don't need to study each and everything. I am giving you the crux. I'm giving you the best knowledge regarding so that regarding the exam point of view, so that you can remember and absorb it in a very short period of time. So what is about the next slide? Yes, highlight, or if I say take the snapshot of this slide. This is a very important slide and I can confirm you, if you will understand this slide, your substantive related question will be resolved in a very easy manner. You will get the maximum marks in this question. You will never fail if you understand this slide. So I need your complete focus, your complete attention specifically on this slide. So everyone is ready for this slide. Are you mentally present? Are you uh, focused? Kindly give me a reply. Yes, I need the feedback of each and everyone. Thank you. Yes, more feedbacks. Come on, everyone, please. Thank you, Sherdil. I know, and thank you, Faizan Said. It would be really helpful. Yes, yes, it will. It really be helpful for you. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Faizan. Yes, I have. I will share this complete my PowerPoint presentation with you. by today or by tomorrow, I will share this presentation again. So if anything is missing in your presentation, so you will take from this. Now, this is the what is slide says. What is slide says? Slide says the sequence of documents need to be remembered. Will facilitate you, really facilitate you. This is the practical documents which are prepared in the organization, because you people are not doing jobs at this stage. Most of the students are not at the job stage, so you people don't know what are these documents. So if I will give you the crux of these documents, then you people can easily apply assertions. Even when we will go for the practice questions, take this slide and apply all the assumptions. You will not face any difficulties. Suppose what are the documents are prepared in the organization if there a sales department, if anything in the sales department. Suppose first of all, sales department received the purchase order from the customer, receiving the purchase order from the customer. When the company receives the purchase order from the customer, they dispatch the goods. They send the goods. We can say good dispatch note, GDN. You can say it's a good dispatch note, GDN. Then the management will raise the invoice and send to the customer for the payment. At the time of invoice, when you send the invoice, you will book the sales. You will make the entry that debit receivable, credit sales, and afterwards you will get the payment, and you will book the another entry. You will do the another entry, that is debit cash, credit receivables. So here you need to understand the objective and need to understand the sequence of the documents. You need to understand the variety of documents which is preparing in the organization. So first, the sales department of any organization receives the purchase order from the customer. Then they send the goods and make the good dispatch note. Sales department raise the invoice. Sales will be recorded by the accounts department, and then the payment is received from the customer. This is all about the receiving the purchase order till the payment received. Now, what's the next? What's the next? Do you know what is the party ledger? Do you know what is the party ledger? Yes, these are the individual ledgers. No sale book, no data report, no creditor report. Yes, separate ledger, individual ledger. Yes. Please give me a feedback if you people know what is the party ledger or individual ledger. Then let me know so that I can tell you. Everyone is not replying. Please, everyone, please reply. Do you know about the party ledger or individual ledger? Okay. If the company is doing the sales with 100 different people, then every individual person has a separate ledger in our accounting system. If the company is making the sales with different 100 customers, then every different customer has a different ledger. So every different customer has a different ledger. So if the management So if the management would like to see, so if the management would like to see the sales, if the management would like to see every individual ledger of every customer, so suppose there are many customers of the company, like Hamza is the customer, and Barbara is the customer, Faizan is the customer, Vismay is the customer, Zainab is the customer, Kainat is the customer, Hilal is the customer of the organization. So every customer has a separate ledger. Every customer has a separate party ledger maintained by the company, so that the company can easily find anything about its customer. Suppose the company would like to see how many purchase has been done by the Fizan. So openly, so just the management will open the party ledger, individual ledger of the Fizan. So they will open the individual ledger of the Barbara. So individual ledger is maintained by the management to see the individual balances of each customer. So this is about the individual balances. I can give you more clarification. Yes, wait a second. I will give you one more clarification. Yes, yes. Um, so these are all the customers. Suppose A is a customer, B is a customer, C is a customer, D is a customer, E is a customer. These are all the customers of the these are all the customers of the organization. B, A, C, D, E. So suppose A has done the business with the company $100 first, $300 first, 500, and then 200. B has done the business with the company like $1,000, $500, $300, $200, 500. So this is all about the individual ledger of the each customer. It will help the company to identify anything in its ledger. This is the individual ledger. Now come to the next point, that what is the control account or general ledger? What is the control account or general ledger? This is the individual ledger, and what would be the summary, control summary? Control summary will not show each and every transaction of each customer. Remember, and please focus what I am going to say. Control summary will not show each and every transaction of the individual customer. Control summary or general ledger will show the total amount of each customer. Total amount of each customer. So what the control summary will show like this. Control summary will show like this 1100 and 4700. Okay. So, what is the difference between the individual ledger and the difference between the journal ledger? Individual ledger shows each and every transaction of the party, and the controls account or journal ledger will show the total amount of each and every customer. Okay. So, here is the main point comes. I can say that okay, if any amount shows in the individual ledger should be appear and should have the effect of this transaction in the journal ledger. If there is any transaction in the individual ledger should be reflect in the control summary or journal ledger. Can I say this thing? Do you understand this thing what I am telling you? Need more feedbacks? Need more feedbacks? Okay, I can repeat it. I can repeat it. Individual ledger shows each and every transaction. Individual ledger shows each and every transaction of the customer like this. But the control account, but the control account or the journal ledger shows the total amount of each customer. Total amount. The total of all the transactions is 1100. It is appearing here. So 1100. General ledger shows the total amount. So here I can say this that if any transaction appear in the individual ledger will reflect the general ledger as well. If anything appears in the customer ledger of B should be reflect in the general ledger because general ledger shows the totals of the individual ledger. Now you people can understand what I am saying. General ledger shows the aggregate amount of that customer. Yes, this point you people need to understand. It is very important point. This will make your life easier. Linkage of the documents will make you easier because you people are not doing the job. This is the problem which I was facing at my stage. That's why I am going to tell you again and again. Now we are going to the third stage. What is the trial balance? What is the trial balance? Now the third stage of the financial statement, this is the individual ledger. Just wait and watch. You will your ambiguities will be resolved. Now third is trial balance. Trial balance shows the total amount of the journal ledger. What is the total amount of the journal ledger? That is 5800. It is appearing in the corner, some 5800. So trial balance shows the total of receivables 5800. 5800. Individual ledger shows the each and every transaction of the customer. Control account journal ledger shows the aggregate amount of the customer, and the trial balance shows the total amount of the journal ledger. Now listen, can I say that if any transaction appears in the individual ledger can reflect the journal ledger as well as reflect in the trial balance? can reflect in the trial balance. Can I say this statement? Please, everyone, give me your feedback. I'm going to repeat this again. I'm going to repeat this again. Individual ledger, individual ledger shows the each and every transaction of the individual customer. Control account slash general ledger shows the aggregate amount of the each customer, and trial balance shows the aggregate amount of the journal ledger. So here I can I can write on it so that you will not be you will not confused again. It shows the aggregate amount of the of each customer. Yes, and trial balance shows the aggregate amount of general ledger. So each and every document is linked with each and every one. So if anything appear in this ledger, in the individual ledger, will should be reflect in the general ledger, and it should be reflect in the trial balance. Now the fourth stage is the financial statements. Financial statements. Have you seen financial statements? Have you seen statement of financial position? Yes. So the trial balance figure will appear in the front of the balance in front of the balance sheet. So this figure, trial balance figure, will appear in front of the balance sheet in the section of current assets, because we am talking about the sales, so it means receivables in the section of current assets. So again, can I say that the individual ledger will show each and every transaction of each customer, of every one customer, and the control ledger, general ledger, shows the aggregate amount of each customer like this, and the trial balance shows the aggregate amount of the general ledger, and the total of the trial balance will show on the front of balance sheet under the section of current assets. So if anything appear at here, will reflect the should reflect the control account, should reflect the trial balance, and should reflect the financial statements. So this is about the sales procedure. Obviously, now I am going to link with the substantive procedure. Okay, I'm going to link with the substantive procedure, and now you will realize what you have read. So now you will be surprised, inshallah. You will be surprised. So the same thing I have mentioned with the purchases, it will really help you. You just need to understand the process and the type of document. So type of documents is very important. So here, so here, so here, I will go. Yes, I'm going back to the slide where we have mentioned the assertions. Just read it first time. Just read it in a minute. in a second. Then we are going back to the current slide. Completeness, rights and obligations, accuracy, existence, occurrence, and classification and cutoff. Suppose I will pick up the completeness on a sample basis. If I will pick up the completeness, and now we are going back to the required slide. Yes, if I am talking about the completeness, now can I say that now we will verify the completeness. Completeness is our objective, and the generic definition of the completeness is transaction should be completed from the entry stage to the financial statements. So, can I write the substantive procedure test of detail that on a sample basis we will select the sales invoices, and check their impact shows in the party ledger or in the control account or in the trial balance. If their impact is shown in all the documents, then it means that the completeness is done. If this invoice is not shown in the party ledger, their impact is not shown in the control account, in the party ledger, in the control account, in the trial balance, in the financial statements, then it means that the completeness is not done. So can we say that on a sample basis, we will inspect the sales invoices and verify that these sales invoices are shown in the party ledger, in the control account, in the trial balance, and in the financial statements. If the sale invoice impact is shown in all of the documents, then it will ensure the auditor's completeness. Then it means that the transactions are completed in all perspectives of the financial statements. So do you understand what I would like to say? So this is the completeness. Now, what you will do in the exams. Now, you don't need to go stepwise. Now, what you will do in the exams? The question will come and you have to write down the substantive procedures. You have to write down the substantive procedures. How, you know what you will do? You will write down, we will inspect the sales invoices on a sample basis and verify that it is shown in the party ledger to ensure the completeness. To ensure the completeness. This is your first procedure. So you will select the sample of invoices and verify that, or you can say we will take the party ledger balances and verify that whether they appear in the control account. It will show your completeness. It will show your completeness. Then you will write down another procedure. You will you will obtain the balances of the control account and ensure that these balances are matched with the trial balances. If they are matched, it means that completeness is ensured by the auditor. Then you will write down another procedure. The balances, obtain the balance of the obtain the closing balance of the trial balance and ensure that it is reconciled with the financial statements to ensure the completeness and accuracy. To complete the completeness and accuracy. So you just need to play with these documents. You just need to play with these documents. Now I'm giving you another example. to verify the occurrence. Occurrence means that the transaction is done. You will write down the substantive procedure. How you will write down the substantive procedure? It is in the next slide. Here we are just discussing what would be the possible substantive procedures. Okay, you will say on a sample basis, you will select the invoices and ensure that the good dispatch note has been made against these sales invoices. So what it shows? It shows that the transaction is occurred. That's why goods has been shipped. Goods has been shipped. So on a sample basis, you will select the sales invoices and trace their good dispatch note to ensure the transaction is occurred. So occurrence is verified. Then if you want to recalculate to ensure the accuracy, you will you will cast the party ledgers, and the total of the party ledger will be reconciled with the control account journal ledger to ensure the accuracy. Your accuracy can be done. So you know what I'm going to tell you, that these are all the bases which the students don't know about the practical application of the documents. If they know about these documents, then it is very easy for the student to pass in the exams. So the same thing is highlighted by the examiner, that the students does not have the practical knowledge, because only few students are doing the job at this stage. So that's the practical touch which I am interested to share with you, so that making the substantive procedures will become easier for you. So do you get some confidence, like how to make a substantive, like uh, how to play with the documents? You can just match the one document with another document to verify the assertions. So need your feedback. Share the once again. Oh no, okay. It's okay. Thank you, Rabia. Thank you, Rabia. Your remarks is it's very good. Thank you. It really acknowledges my hardworking. You know, this is a slide which I am confident that you will not get it anywhere. You will not get it anywhere. This is the main crux which the student need to understand. Yes, so substantive procedures is matching the documents. It is not necessary matching back the documents. You can match the document forwardly, like you can match the invoice with the party ledger. You can match the balances of the party ledger with the control account. Okay, so you can match the invoice. You can select the sample invoices and verify the good dispatch notes to ensure the occurrence. You can recalculate of the party ledger balances and compare it with the control account. If they are reconciled, it means that the completeness, accuracy, and occurrence is done. So this is all about the substantive procedures. Now, so you can take the snapshot. Now we are going to the next slide, which is also very, very important. Each and every word of the today's webinar is very, very important. Yes, that's the thing. Now, you have understood how you can make these substantive procedures, but what's the structure of the substantive procedure? What's the structure of the substantive procedure? I'm going to raise all drawings. Yes, taking some. Thank you, Saul. You people are really acknowledging my session, my knowledge, you know. Yes, I think we should take a break for a 15 minutes. Then we will come back with this slide and we will make the practice. So take a 15 minutes break. Please be relaxed. You people understood major contents of the topic. Now only the practice is remaining. Uh, 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 I will mention the break time. Yes, now break is for 15 minutes. Come back at 15 p.m. Park time. You welcome back. Do you hear my voice? And is everyone back? So we are going to wait for a 30 seconds more because strength is increasing. So I need each and everyone should be present in this session. We need more power, more motivation. So everyone, please get motivated and give motivation to others. So, we are just going to start. Sorry. Now, our next topic or agenda is how to write a procedure. How to write a procedure. First, you need to mention the action. You need to mention the action, and action is your procedure. And what is your procedure? We have discussed, yes, these are the procedures. These are the procedures, and these are the analytical procedures. Okay, test of detail procedures and analytical review procedures. So first you need to mention the action, that is your audit procedure. Now, source, the person to whom you are in discussion, or the source can be a document, it can be a process, any process, it can be external party. Now third is objective. Assertions is equal to objectives. We have discussed assertions which need to be fulfilled. Assertions which need to be fulfilled. So I will give you an example. Purchases need to be verified. Okay. So suppose you will need to verify the occurrence assertion and occurrence assertion. Okay. So you will mention the action. Inspect the sample of purchase orders. So inspection is your audit procedure. Inspection is your audit procedure because it is in red, so it is also in red. This is your action. Now, the third is source. It can be any document, it can be any discussion, any person. So agree with GRN, vendor invoice, and in ledger to ensure completeness. So inspect the sample of purchase orders and agree with GRN, vendor invoice, and in ledger to ensure completeness. Sorry. So in sales, the document was used is good dispatch note, because in sales you were need to send the document, you need to dispatch the you need to dispatch the goods, but in purchases it is supposed that you will receive the goods, so you will prepare a good receipt note. Good receipt note. the people who is working in the organization, only those people knows the name of these documents. So when you will purchase something, the vendor send you the documents and you will make the good receive note. So inspect the sample of purchase orders and you will agree with good receipt note like you receive these documents. You will compare with the vendor invoice and in ledger to ensure the completeness. So this purchase order will reflect and in GRN, because the GRN should be prepared against the purchase order, the amount of the purchase order will be compared with the vendor invoice, and this amount should be reflected in the ledger to ensure completeness. So you can ensure your completeness, you can ensure your occurrence. Occurrence is also being verified because of the GRN. So this is the structure of the audit procedure. Here I'm giving you the two or three examples more. First, you need to write down the action. Action is your procedure. You need to write down your source. So your source can be your document, can be any discussion, and objective is your assertion which need to be fulfilled. So these are the samples of the procedures. These are the samples of the procedures. Inquire is your procedure with management. Management is your source regarding the increase in purchase by 30%. So objective to ensure the reasons why the purchases has been increased by 30%. So, these are the procedures which are add-ons. I highlighted these two procedures as an add-ons in my previous slides. So the next procedure is review the minutes of the meeting. Review is your procedure. Minutes of the meeting is your source regarding the approval of non-current assets purchases. So the black is your objective to ensure the approval of the non-current assets. So review is your action, minutes of the meeting is the source, it can be any document or it can be any person, and the approval of non-current assets is your objective. This is the add-ons. This is the add-ons. Wait a second, I will show you so that you people, yes, this is. So these procedures which need to be add-ons are discussion with and review minutes of the meeting regarding. So I'm giving you the examples of these two procedures as an add-ons. So review the minutes of the meeting, inquire with management, discussion with management. So these are the procedures as add-ons. You can also write down these procedures. Now I'm going to give you the example of the analytical review procedure. We have discussed the in analytical review procedures section, that is the comparison ratio strength. We have given you the example of the ratios. Now I'm giving you the comparison. I'm giving you the example of the comparison. Yes, compare this year legal charges with the last year to confirm reasonableness. So this is the method to how to write down the substantive procedures in the exams. Where the students lack, where the students lack. Basically, student does not know the real application of the documents used in the organization. Please listen it carefully. Student does not know the real documents which are prepared in the organization. The main reason is this, and the second reason is student does not know the structure of the procedure. So structure needs three main elements, that is your action, that source, and your assertion. Now whenever any area will test in your exams, You just need to know the relevant documents. Now I am giving the ball in your court. Tell me, if the examiner asks you about the applying of the substantive procedures on bank balances. If I am the examiner and I am asking you to write down the substantive procedures on the bank balances. Now, you tell me what are the relevant documents exist in the organization so that you can play with these documents. Please, now it's your turn. Yes, bank reconciliation and bank ledgers, cash books, yes, trial balance, yes, yes, bank accounts, bank statements, yes. Now, so now you should be creative. So examiner asking you about the write down the substantive procedures. So can you write down the substantive procedure that review the closing balance of the bank statement and agree with the closing balance of the cash ledger to ensure the completeness, accuracy. Like what I said, review the closing balance of the bank statement and agree with the closing balance of your cash ledger, of your bank ledger. Are you agree with me? Now, what's the other procedure you can write? You can take the closing balance of the bank reconciliations and compare it with your bank ledger to ensure the accuracy and completeness. Yes, give me your feedbacks side by side. Give me your feedbacks. I am just giving you the examples of the substantive procedures. Can I write down that the closing balance of the bank ledger, review the, yeah, obtain the closing balance of the bank ledger and agree it with your trial balance? Can I say that obtain the balances, obtain the closing balance of the trial balance and agree it with the balance showing in the financial statements to ensure accuracy, completeness? Can you recalculate? Everyone is saying yes. Can I say that? Can we recalculate the bank reconciliations and ensure its accuracy? So now we are what's the external source of accuracy? Yes, I told you, you can get the bank statements from the bank, obtain the closing balance of the bank state from the bank statement and compare it with your bank ledger. So you are verifying your accuracy from the external source with your internal source. So now we're going to make the practice so everyone will clear it. Now, what the examiner can test you in exams, what the examiner can test you in exams. So it is also very, very important. What is meant by audit procedures? If the examiner asks you to write down the audit procedures, if the examiner asks you to write down the audit procedures, only with the name of audit procedures, it means you need to write down test of controls and audit procedures. and audit procedures means substantive procedures. Substantive means test of detail and analytical review procedures. If the examiner asks you to write down only substantive procedures word is included in your requirement, then it includes test of detail and analytical review procedures. It is not a test of controls is not included in the substantive procedures. So if the examiner asks you to write down the audit procedures, then it includes test of controls and substantive procedures. Substantive procedures means test of detail and analytical procedures. If the examiner asks you to write down the substantive procedures, then write down test of detail and analytical review procedures. But remember one thing, you need to give preference to test of detail. Why? You need to give preference to test of detail, not analytical review procedure. Preference, I'm talking about the preference. It is not banned, it is not compulsory. Like I am asking you, you do not need, you should not write down the analytical procedure. It's not like that. You need to give preference on test of detail, not on analytical review procedures. Because in my previous slide, I told you one thing. I told you one thing. That is, analytical review procedures will highlight the areas where the problem can exist. Where the problem can exist. Where the problem can exist, like we have discussed the gearing ratio. Gearing ratio tells us that the organization takes the more loan. It means that the liabilities has been increased, so there is a problem with the liability area. So, so analytical review procedures only highlights where the problem can exist. But to drill down the problem, we need to apply test of details. Analytical review procedure is just the starting point. Analytical review procedures is just your starting point, but to drill down the problem, we need to apply test of details. Test of details is more reliable, is more accurate, is more relevant than analytical review procedures. And this thing is also said by the examiner. This thing is also said by the examiner. Now we are going to make the practice. Open the question. You should already have the question. I am going to first of all, now all discussion which we have done are going to be implemented in this question. In this question. Wait a second, I'm just setting up the question. This is the question. I think. Yes, please open the question. Cranberry and Jasmine. That's Jasmine. Yes, open the question, Jasmine. Open the question, Jasmine. Yes. I'm going to read the requirement first. Describe the substantive procedures. Describe the substantive procedures that the auditor should perform to obtain appropriate and sufficient and appropriate audit evidence in relation to the Jasmine Company's trade receivables. Jasmine Company's trade receivables. Wait, Nikita, wait. So the second requirement is describes the substantive procedures the auditor should perform to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence in relation to the Jasmine bank balances. Jasmine bank balances. So I'm going to read the question. A Jasmine company manufactures motor vehicle component and its year end was 30th June 2008. You are an audit supervisor of Peppermint and Company and the final audit is due to commence shortly. Total assets are 43.2 million and profit before tax is 7.2 million. The following matters have been brought to your attention. So first we will discuss about the bank balances. The bank and cash figure included in the Jasmine Co draft financial statements is comprised of a number of bank account balances. It means that the company has different bank account balances. Overdraft of 5.1 million is the company main current account. There is an overdraft balance means negative balance. It means Jasmine company has to pay to the bank and 0.2 million relating to the several savings accounts. The finance director has informed the audit manager that all accounts have been reconciled as at the year end. Now, the overdraft of 5.1 million has increased significantly since the prior year, that is 1.2 million. In last year, the overdraft was 1.2. In this year, the overdraft was 5.1. The directors has informed you that the overdraft facility which the company requires in order to operate on a daily basis is due for renewal in October and they are confident it will be reviewed. Okay. What is the requirement? Describes the substantive procedures that the auditor should perform to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence in relation to Jasmine's company bank balances. We have discussed about the relevant documents which are related to the bank balances. I would like to say one thing more. That the scenario which is given in the question, you cannot you cannot extract from here. You cannot extract the substantive procedures from here. It is all just about your knowledge, your technical knowledge and practical knowledge. If you know the relevant documents prepare in the organization, you can easily perform the substantive procedures. So I'm going to read the answer of the Jasmine bank balances related substantive procedures. So now focus on it and see what is right, what is written in the answer. Now you have read and understand each and everything. Now it will gives you more clarity. It will gives you more clarity. So obtain a bank confirmation letter from Jasmine Company banks for all of its accounts. So he just mentioned the first step you need to take the bank confirmation letter from Jasmine Company bankers for all of its accounts. Now see, agree all accounts listed on the bank confirmation letter. This is the external source of confirmation. You will only mention it if you already know that the bank confirmation letter is exists in the world. There is something, a document, that's the name is bank confirmation letter. If you do not know any documents of any element, then you cannot write down the audit procedures. So what the examiner is saying, agree all accounts listed on the bank confirmation letter to the bank reconciliations and trial balance, general ledger to ensure completeness of bank balances. Now, you people tell me what we have studied is reconciled with the substantive procedures solution, which is written down by the officials, which is written down by the officials. Now, again, we will see for the current account, obtain Jasmine Company bank reconciliation and cast to check the additions to ensure mathematical accuracy. We have discussed the same thing, but you can write down the procedure if you know about the relevant documents, which the most of the student does not know what are the documents is maintaining in the organization. Now, the third procedure, there is a question is 5 marks. So you need to write down the five substantive procedures. Each procedure has 1 mark. So examiner or official is mentioning the maximum procedures. So if you does not remember any procedure, any one of the procedures, so you have the options to write down any procedure. Agree the balance per the bank reconciliation to the original year-end bank statement and to the bank confirmation letter. Now, please focus on the thing that the relevant official who is written down the answer is playing with their documents. He's just you can say reconciling the one document to other document. Now here agree the balance as per the bank reconciliation to the year-end bank statement and the bank confirmation letter. Now see, agree the reconciliation balance for the cash book to the year-end cash book. Now trace all outstanding lodgements to the pre-year-end cash book. Lodgements means outstanding lodgements. Post-year bank statement and also to the paying in book pre-year-end. So this is a difficult substantive procedure. You do not need to understand it. You have many options to understand. You have many other procedures to understand and write down in your exams. Now come to the other substantive procedures. Examine any old unpresented checks. Unpresented means which the client does not present it in the bank to assess whether they need to be returned back. Okay. Now examine the bank confirmation letter for details of any security provided by the Jasmine Co. with regards to the bank overdraft or any legal right to set off as they may require disclosure. So these are all the procedures which you can write down in the exams. For the savings bank accounts, it is another bank account. The substantive procedure for the saving bank account, review any reconciling item on the year-end bank reconciliation and agree to the supporting documentation. So he is just matching the cross matching the different documents. Now please, do you understand what to do in the substantive procedure? Give me your feedback before I am going for on the receivable section. Yes, thank you, most of the students got the understanding. Thank you. Thank you, Hamza. Thank you, Zainab. Thank you, Priyan. Obviously, I am confirmed that this is the clarity which I'm giving you. Thank you for your acknowledgement, recognition. Need your more feedbacks, please. Need your more feedbacks. Thank you, Sejal. Thank you, Emmanuel. Need more feedbacks. There are many students who are sitting in the exam, who are sitting in the session. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Substantive related question come up with the 20 marks. Thank you, Rabia. Rabia is totally agreeing with the reconciling document point. Thank you, Mohazam. Thank you, Karan. Thank you, Karan, for your recognizing me. You are explaining the procedures very well. Thank you, Karan. Now we are going to the receivables section. Come up with the question again. Yes, Namra, accuracy related as a substantive procedure is mentioned here. Here we are the recalculating the bank reconciliations and agree with the bank balance is mentioned in the ledger to ensure the accuracy. There is a procedure written in the answer. Okay, so you can read it, you will identify it. Now, the next part of the question is trade receivables. Jasmine Co. Trade receivable ledger is comprised of a large number of customers. In previous year, the audit team has undertaken a positive trade receivables circularization to confirm year-end balances. However, the customer response rate has historically been low, and so alternative audit procedures have been undertaken. A decision has been made that for the current year, audit circularization will not be performed. Will not be performed. The year-end trade receivable balances is 3.9 million, and in last year the trade receivable balances was 2.8 million. And the allowances for trade receivables, allowances means it can be a bad debts. 4,10,000 and previous year it was $300,000. Now describe the substantive procedures that the auditor should perform to obtain sorry sufficient and appropriate audit evidence in relation to Jasmine Company trade receivables. Now you should remember at this time, like, what are the documents related to trade receivables. It can be a individual ledger of any receivable, individual ledger, party ledger. Now afterwards, it's a general ledger, control account, trial balance, financial statements, sales invoices, good dispatch notes. These are all the documents which really helps you in writing down your substantive procedures. So we are going to discuss this thing. Yes, this is the substantive procedures for trade receivables. I'm going to erase the trying. Yes, now obtain the aging of the receivables listing and agree to the balance on the sales ledger, control account and trial balance. Control account means you take the list of the total receivables, and total receivables should be reconciled with the control account and trial balance. Again, it's a reconciliation of the documents. Now the next procedure is about add-on. Add-on means where we discuss with the management. Review the aging receivables ledger to identify any slow moving or old balances. Old balances means the receivable was scanned from the last 10 years, but the relevant customer didn't pay the amount, so they need to be write off, or it should be stand as a receivable. So you will take the receivables ledger and identify any slow moving old balances. Discuss, this is the discuss the status of these balances with the credit controller to assess whether they are likely to pay or not. Say this is the add-on procedure. You can give a variety, you can, but it is not necessary. if you know the procedures, any five best procedures, any five good procedures, it will help you. Now, this is another add-on procedure, review board minutes to identify whether there are any significant concerns in relation to payments by customers. Like auditor is here to verify the accuracy, the completeness of the receivables, because if there is any dispute between the receivable and the party, and between the receivable and the company, so we need to write off. So here we are talking about the accuracy and completeness as well. Now we are going to read the further procedures. Yes. Now now the relevant official make the write the analytical review procedure. Analytical review procedure, it is a variety. Everything is included in the question. Calculate the average receivables collection period and compare is your analytical procedure to the prior year and investigate any significant differences. And investigate any significant differences. So now come up with the another procedure. Select a sample of good dispatch note immediately before and after the year end and follow through to the receivables ledger to ensure that they are recorded in the correct accounting period. They are recorded in the correct accounting period. Now, this is a procedure which we have already discussed. Select a sample of year-end receivable balances and agree back to the valid supporting documentations of sale invoices, GDN, and sale order to ensure existence. I'm just trying to give you a focus. You need to understand the background of the documents and their linkage. If you know about the linkage of the documents and the name of the documents, then write down the substantive procedure is not the difficult task. Is not the difficult task. So yes, it will. Faizan, you are right. Sales linked with the receivables and purchases can be linked with the payables. So, what's your feedback now? Do you understand the logic of the substantive procedures? So, if you people are going to remember the audit procedures, it will not give you a fruitful results. You need to be creative. You need to understand the real essence of the substantive procedures. This question is in BPP. I told you last day, if you are going to give a paper, give a theoretical paper, follow BPP. And if you are going to give a numerical paper, follow Kaplan. It's my suggestion and opinion. Decision is up to yours. You can take any book, but I am just giving you a suggestion. Whenever I give the opinion, suppose I would like to one thing more. Uh, at this stage, like in my history, I used BPP book and kit for the theoretical papers, and I used Kaplan for the numerical papers. I have experienced it. I have experienced it. So I passed the paper, specifically theoretical paper, easily from the from the BPP book, because in BPP book there are many theoretical, there are many, you can say, there are many things written in the book. there are many data, there is many content available in the BPP kit. You have many options to select anything, right? If we take the example of the substantive procedures, you need to write down the 5 substantive procedures, but the BPP book given the 15 substantive procedures. So you have the option to remember to memorize the only 5 options. So you can remember any 5 which is suitable for you, which is easy for you. So this is my opinion. You can take it. You can do your decision. It's up to you. Thank you, Faizan. Thank you, Faizan, saying that its explanation is my explanation is good, and Valentine also giving me acknowledgement. And Vismay, thank you. Seher, thank you. Brian, thank you. Yes, I'm saying that all the substantive procedures which I am mentioning, which examiner is writing down in the answer, in the question, only the scenario is given. You need to draft the substantive procedures by yourself. You cannot take the help from the scenario. Like in the last session, we extract the deficiencies from the question and write down their recommendation. We extract the deficiencies from the question, but in the substantive procedures, you cannot extract anything from the question. Each and every sentence in the substantive procedures, you need to redraft, you need to think and redraft. You cannot take any assistance from the question like we took the assistance from the last session, from the last webinar in the internal controls. We just copy and paste the deficiency from the question and write down the recommendation. This is the point which I'm saying. So session is not over. We are going to give the practice. We are going to make another question. Another question, please open Cranberry. Cranberry. Just give me last 30 minutes. You will get more crap. You will get more crap. Now this is the second question. This is the second question. I'm simply write down the I'm simply reading the depreciation paragraph. I'm simply reading the depreciation paragraph. Gooseberry Company has a large portfolio of property, plant and equipment in March 2007. The company carried out a full review of all its property, plant and equipment and updated the useful life, used residual values, depreciation rates, and methods for many categories of assets. The finance director felt that the changes were necessary to better reflect the use of the assets. This resulted in the depreciation charges of some assets changing significantly for this year. Okay, what's the requirement? Question is 5 mark. You need to, this is the requirement. Describe the substantive procedures the auditor should perform to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence in relation to the matter identified regarding depreciation of property, plant, and equipment. Okay, property, plant, and equipment. So, you people now tell me, you people now tell me what are the documents we can use in taking the reliability of the calculations of depreciation. What are the documents we can use to make the substantive procedures in relation to the depreciation? What are the documents we can link with the depreciation? Yes, non-current register is the right option. Company policy is the right option. Depreciation policy is the right option. Very good. This is the thing which I want from you, that you should people know what are the relevant documents relation to the topic which will come in the examiner. Board minutes is the right. Profit and loss is the right option for depreciation. So these are all the documents. Now it's a time for a game. Just play with the documents and make the substantive procedures. And make the substantive procedures. Now I'm going to read the substantive procedures, and now you will enjoy it. Everyone, please give me your feedback. Write down the documents. Even you can duplicate your answer, the other answer. Please write down. The cranberry answer. Substantive procedures for depreciation. Discussed with the management the rationale for the changes to property, plant and equipment depreciation rates, useful life, residual values, and depreciation methods, and how these changes were arrived at. First procedure is about that the auditor will discuss with the management regarding the reasoning of the changes, why the management is interested to changes in the company policy. So first is the add-on method, discussion with the management, discussion with the management. Now review the non-current assets register to assess if the revised depreciation rates have been applied, because depreciation rates is incorporated in the non-current asset register. So review the non-current asset register to assess if the revised depreciation rates have been applied for the completeness and accuracy. Review and recalculate profits and losses on disposal of assets sold, scrapped in the year to assess the reasonableness of the revised depreciation rates. Select a sample of property, plant and equipment and recalculate the depreciation charge to ensure that the non-current asset register is correct, and ensure that new depreciation rates have been applied appropriately. Okay, now we are going to read the next. Select a sample of property, plant, and equipment and recalculate. Recalculate the depreciation chart to ensure that the non-current register is correct, and ensure that new depreciation rates have been applied. Okay, okay, we have discussed. Obtain a breakdown of the depreciation by asset categories compared to the prior year. Here is the analytical review procedure. Where significant changes have occurred, discuss with management why these changes has been, what are the reason of these changes. Calculate for asset. You can also read down the last procedure. Review the disclosure of the depreciation charge and policies in the draft financial statement. Ensure it is in line with the highest property, plant and equipment. These are the procedures, but I can make further procedures. I will recalculate the depreciation according to the new policy and ensure that listen to my procedure and give me your feedback on it. I will recalculate the depreciation according to the new policy and agree it with the depreciation expense mentioned in the profit and loss statement. Is it okay? I will recalculate the depreciation expense according to the new policy and compare it with the depreciation expense and reconcile it with the depreciation expense mentioned in the profit and loss. So that's a procedure. I can say that I will review the now listen to it carefully. I will review the calculations of the depreciation which is done by the management and compare it with the company's new policy. Can I write it? I will review the calculations of the client, of the management, and I will compare it with the company policy to ensure that it is according to the company's new policy. So it is another procedure. It is another procedure. So you can write down for maximum procedures. It is just about your creativity, about your practice, about your thinking. You just need to know about the you just need to know about the documentation. Now, you people give me more substantive procedures. I'm waiting. Make more procedures. Think about it and just give me the crux of the procedure in the question box. I will understand it. Mention the documents which we will reconcile it. Mention the procedures, guys. Yes, depreciation expense should be reconciled with the trial balance, and the total of the non-current assets should be reconciled. Closing value of the assets should be a non-current closing balances of the non-current asset register will be reconciled with the trial balance and the financial statements. So this is another procedure. So closing balance of the non-current asset register, take the closing balance of the non-current asset register and agree it with the trial balance and the financial statements, or you can say in the balance sheet. So these are the 4 to 5 procedures which I have done other than the procedures which is mentioned in the answer. So you don't need to memorize your substantive procedures. You need to understand the real essence, the structure, the taste, the logics behind the substantive procedures. You just need to verify the element. And now it's up to you how you can verify it. Now, one more topic which is important and can be tested in the coming exam. That is the uh, research and development procedures. It is tested many times and it can be come again in the coming attempt. Research and development procedures, very important in the perspective of substantive procedures. Gooseberry company spent, just give me last 15 minutes, please. Boys, need your motivation, need your focus, please. Gooseberry company spent 1.9 million in the current year developing 9 new health and beauty products. all of which are different stages of the development. Once they meet the recognition criteria under IAS 38 intangible assets for development expenditure, Gooseberry Company includes the total cost incurred within the intangible assets. So Gooseberry Company includes the cost in the intangible assets. Once the production commences, the intangible assets are amortized on a straight line basis over the 3 years. Amortization is an important word. So you can recalculate the amortization. You can recalculate the cost. You can analyze the cost, whether they meet the criteria or not. You can recalculate, you can obtain the list of the intangible assets and ensure whether they have been classified as an intangible or intangible. So management believes that amortization is a reasonable approximation. So come to the answer. Come to the answer of the R&D. Now, see the second procedure, agree the closing balance to the general ledger trial balance and draft financial statements. Is this a new thing for you? Not guys, now it is a very ordinary thing for you. It is not a technical thing now. Now, discuss with the finance director the rationale for the 3-year useful life and consider reasonableness. Give the purpose of the discussion, why the management is interested to take the 3-year useful life to confirm. So this procedure is for accuracy and reasonableness. So recalculate the amortization charge for a sample of intangible assets, and you can compare it with the management working to ensure the accuracy. So for those expense as research, agree the cost incurred to the invoices and supporting documentation and to inclusion in profit and loss. So these are again the sequence of the documents. You will take the list, you will take the list of the expense, compare it with the cost incurred, compare it with the invoices, supporting documentation, and ensure that these costs has been included in the profit and loss. So we will review the disclosures for intangible assets in the draft financial statement to verify that they are in accordance with the intangible assets. So this is the review add-on procedure. Now, tell me one thing more. What are the further procedures you can make on? You can make on the research and development. You can take the closing balance of the amortization. You can verify, yeah, you can say you will take the value of the amortization and ensure that this amortization has been correctly charged in the profit and loss statement. You will verify, you will obtain the list of the intangible assets and verify that and review the list of the intangible assets and ensure that no tangible asset has been included in the list of the intangible assets for the accuracy, or you can say for the classification, to ensure the classification. You can review the calculations of the management and agree with the company's new policy to ensure the completeness and the accuracy. So these are all the procedures that you can make in any topic. Now, now it's a time for your feedback. Now, what you understood about the topic. Now, what you understood about the topic. Do you now can you handle the topic in the exams? Yes, obtain minutes of the meeting, review board minutes of the meeting. Yes, these are all the procedures. Now, can you handle the substantive procedure related question in the exam? Malik, thank you. Yes, I'm receiving the feedback. Need everyone give me your feedback. Ashik, thank you. Asif, good information. You have made it easily approachable. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Karen, Salman. Yes, it is necessary to link the substantive procedures to the scenario, but with you just need to link the substantive procedure. You can only mention the name of the question. Otherwise, all procedures are creative. There is no information is mentioned in the question. Thank you, Amir. Thank you for your acknowledgement. Thank you for your recognition. Rabia Tariq, thank you that you will use my approach. Thank you, Brian. Your comments is really motivating me. Thank you. Need more feedbacks, please. There are many people taking my webinar. I'm sharing my knowledge with you people, and it's my right to take the feedbacks from your side. Thank you, Anna. Thank you. Now, we have discussed in 3 days what we have discussed in 3 days, that is the audit risk, 30 mark based question can be tested in the coming exams, 20 marks for the internal controls, deficiencies, recommendations, and 20% for the substantive procedures. Now you have covered approximately 60 to 70% mark. Now your topics are now the topics has been discussed with you, and you have really make a grip on it, and you should be have confidence that you can do in the exams. You just need to do the practice more and much more. uh, Today there is a discussion is going on in the WhatsApp group. Today is a discussion is going on in the WhatsApp group, that is the coverage of the kit. I would like to tell you about my experience. I would like to tell you about my experience. I focused only on the kit. I have made a benchmark. I made a kit two times minimum. I made a kit two times minimum before appearing in the exams. So what you do, try to focus on the kit, not on the textbook. I totally recommend you. I can confirm you. I can confidently telling you, try to complete the exam kit, and after completion the exam kit, make it once more time. Make it your benchmark. You need at least two times to complete the kit. If you do this, it will be really helpful for you. Passing your exam will become easier for you. You will increase your chances to pass this coming attempt December 2020. So I will recommend you to start the kit. Just need to two to three questions in a day. Read the requirements and then solve the question. After solving the question within a given time frame, then compare it with the examiner answer and identify what you have missed in the answer. So there still we have like 3 to 4 weeks. You can do it. Just focus on the exams. You don't need to confuse in the exam, because now you have a practical knowledge and as well as the technical knowledge. Now, what is the remaining thing? The remaining thing is you need to do more practice, practice and practice, so that you can pass your exams. It's all about making a totally. I use my energy. You can understand how my voice. I today I utilized and consumed my energy above from my capacity level, because the topic is very important from your side. The topic is very crucial. Students failed because of this topic. So I am in the view that I utilized my all energies, I utilized my all power to give you the clarity of this topic, to give you the real essence of this topic. Actually, I feel disheartened when the students are consuming the time by memorizing the substantive procedures. You don't need to memorize the substantive procedures. You just need to know about the background of the topics. You need to understand about the documents which are used in the organization. So thank you for your support. Thank you for your time. And now the time is also over. Session is also going to an end. Take care of yourself. I'm also obviously I'm also very much now down. So take care of yourself. Weather is also changing. Do not eat anything which impact on your health. So take the healthy diet and take the proper sleep and consume time effectively by making the practice. Do not waste time in the text. Write down the example, write down the questions and compare with the examiner. So this is all about the substantive procedures. That's all about the knowledge which I have. So I have transferred to yourself, so you can work together as a team. If anyone is not in the WhatsApp group, just text me on my cell, that is 03923454479990. Take care of yourself. अपना ख्याल रखिएगा. Allah Hafiz.